Hello and welcome back to the video series that I am doing for the Mediumship Development class for the Spiritualist Church of Revelation in Monrovia, California. Due to the COVID-19 lockdown, our development class is not meeting at its normal time, so I decided to try to do a few supplemental videos that might encourage students along the way. My name is Russell Chan. I am one of the student mediums working towards his certification with the NSAC. And this is part 2 video of mediumship reading or sitting over the telephone. So part 1 video that I did, I discussed the theories behind it, why it seems so effective sometimes, and also the practicalities and the not so practicalities of doing readings over the telephone, specifically if you are trying to earn your certification as a medium with the NSAC through doing public readings, which obviously doesn't count towards your affidavits. So this is part 2. In part 2, I'm going to discuss the actual kind of how-to tips. So everyone has their own method. I have 3 parts which work for me, and if you happen to find a way that works better for you, by all means, please go with that. I'm a student just as well, and I am still learning my way through this process. And from what I've read, mediumship is an ongoing thing that you never stop to say, hey, I finally got all the answers to it. So for me, there are 3 parts, and that's the preparation, then the actual sitting or reading part, and then the final confirmation or concluding notes. Now, sometimes some mediums will combine the confirmation notes along the way throughout the reading. That's a personal style. That's up to some people. I tend to keep them separated, and there's a reason for that, which I will get into later. For the preparation, the first thing that is important is what I call the preamble. Some mediums don't give a preamble. I personally like to, and the reason for that is the preamble is a notification to the recipient or the client on what to expect and what not to expect, what they would expect from me, what they will not expect from me, and what I won't do. It's basically a way of breaking the ice and giving them information, because some people don't know the difference between a psychic reading and a mediumship sitting, and they get the two confused a lot. So my preamble will, for example, let people know that I'm a student working towards a certification, that I will not be using crystal balls or runes or tarot cards or Ouija boards or anything like that at all, that I'm not trying to predict the future or look into the client's love life or past, present, and future, but instead I'm focusing on the sitter's lost loved ones, the ones in spirit, and trying to bring through them with good enough evidence that the sitter can go, I know who they're talking about. So that's the preamble. You can give a preamble like in a text before the reading itself. I prepared mine on a Microsoft Word document, and I attach it as an email to the client before our meeting. So it's up to you how you want to do that. Above all, it's very important to let the sitter know that all mediumship, it doesn't matter whether you're a celebrity medium or just starting out, all mediumship is an experiment. That's right. There are no promises as to what is going to happen. It's all a big experiment. So of course, after you establish the appointment with the sitter, please let the sitter know that they should invite their spirit loved ones to the time and date. And also, you need to make an appointment with your spirit guides to also meet at the time and date, because after all, they're your team. They're going to help you through this process. So it's a very common misconception that spirits are at our beck and call because they don't have bodies, so they don't have to worry about getting a job, they don't have to worry about feeding their families or getting a paycheck or ailments. So we often assume that, oh, they can just be right here when I want them. And that's actually not true. Growing and learning is just as much an activity on the spirit side of life as it is on the earth side of life. So just as we humans like to learn and grow and do different things and be really involved with our own activities and don't want to be disturbed at the time, It's kind of the same thing in the spirit world too. So when you are booking a reading with your sitter and the spirit guides that are going to help you, it's kind of like putting together a conference with different people at work. So you want to let all the parties know of the time and the date. It's just out of respect. Now, if it helps with your focus, especially if you're beginning, try to get a headshot photo, like a selfie perhaps, of your client or your sitter from like maybe just the neck up. Again, that's not necessary. I've rarely ever had to do that. For me, I've found that I can imagine an outline of a person sitting in front of me so that when I'm doing the reading over the phone, I feel like I'm at least connecting with the person rather than just like this. And you're probably wondering, well, why would I need to have a reference point to look at in your imagination? The reason why is some mediums are clairvoyant or clear vision, and when a spirit comes to them, the spirit will usually take a position like on the right or the left, behind the shoulder or in front of the shoulder or to the side of the shoulder of the sitter, and that spot indicates the relationship of the spirit to the sitter. So with some people, they find it useful to get a picture in their mind of what the sitter looks like. That way they can imagine seeing where the spirit that's visiting is placing themselves next to them. Again, you don't have to do it that way. I don't necessarily need a photo. One time I did have someone text me a photo of themselves from the neck up, and it's like, okay, I know what their face looks like, so I'll just use that when I'm doing the actual reading. What if you're not clairvoyant? What if instead you're clairaudient or clear hearing? Well, consider yourself lucky, because then all you have to do is ask the spirit, hey, how are you related to the sitter? And the spirit can say something like, I'm the grandmother on the father's side of the family, Sonny. What if you're clairsentient or clear feeling? I personally don't use a lot of clairsentience in receiving messages from spirit. Occasionally it comes through. I would think that when you're trying to figure out who's coming through, the energy or vibration of, say, dear old grandmother who would like to knit or crochet is a very, very different energy from, say, your army buddy who lost his leg, in a grenade accident. A very different vibration. So that's probably how you can figure out by feeling who this person might be. So also find a comfortable position for yourself. Do not allow your pets or your other family members to interfere or interrupt the session. And you might even consider using speaker headphones, kind of like what the operators use, in case you want to use your hands to gesture or you're tired of holding the phone like this. I tend to sometimes gesture even if I'm doing a phone reading, and even get up and pace. That's just me. So if you want your hands free, you might consider getting a headset, or maybe just putting your phone on speaker so you can talk freely. The next thing you need to do is, before you make that phone call or before the sitter calls you, you need to prepare yourself inwardly a few minutes before the session. So a lot of people are dependent upon their own personal little rituals to get them in the mood. So if you like to light candles and incense, if you like doing a meditation while holding your favorite crystal or holding your favorite spiritual object in your hands, maybe you like to bang on a sacred gong or on a Tibetan singing bowl, or to get into the right frame of mind, or perhaps you like to do some fasting followed by, ritual flagellation and self-mutilation, whatever it takes to get yourself in that mood to meet spirit. Except perhaps I do not recommend the ritual flagellation and self-mutilation, unless, of course, you are attending the Hindu festival of Thai Pusam in India or Singapore. But the good news is, with spiritualism, you don't need any of this stuff. That's right. You don't need to bang a gong or sit for hours in meditation. You don't need to hold a crystal or do any rituals like that. If you're one of those type of mediums that can instantly link up with spirit effectively just by shifting your perception, then do that. You don't have to do a long meditation before that. So that's the great thing about spiritualism.